Welcome, guys, to Tapped into Magic. I'm your host, Logan.
And I'm Austin. And today we are going to be talking about War of the Spark. The set had just come out. At least we just went to the pre-release, and the set's coming out this weekend. Yeah. And we thought this would be a perfect time to go through the set and talk about our top 5 cards that we like in the set each. So we'll be talking to you about 10 cards with some honorable mentions, and then we'll also be going through and talking about some cards that people may think are good or decent in Oathbreaker and Commander, which is mainly what we're going to be focusing on. Yeah. But actually might not be or aren't.
Doesn't cut.
And we also have one that we have heard that people say isn't good, but we believe it actually is. So
that's going to be at the end, though. But we each have just our own list of cards that we think are good. Hopefully you guys did good at the pre-release. Like you said, we just went to ours. We
pulled everything.
Everything good. That foil bolus, some other cards that you can use in Oathbreaker and Commander.
Some Elder Spells.
We didn't do too hot.
I did. I was happy with my pulls.
Well, I was not happy with my pulls. I was not.
Bolas. I got the Wanderer, which I wanted. I got Teo that I wanted.
That was pretty good.
I'm trying to think what else I
didn't get anything good. It wasn't until I actually went and bought another pack pre-release, and the only thing I pulled that was decent was Karn, and that's saying something.
Yeah, I really wanted the Ugin for
that
my Karn.
Our friend pulled it.
Karn, because then it makes my colorless spells one less, or 2 less. And I really wanted... What was the other Planeswalker I really wanted? I wanted it to Ferry, just because I want to make an Oathbreaker deck around Teferi.
Yeah, plus Teferi's just cool.
Teferi is cool. He's badass.
Plus, he always raises in prices. He's always a good option to get.
He starts off.
He's looking at being another 40,
and then after the set releases, and he gets picked up in things like Standard and Modern, he goes up to 40 and just chills there.
But speaking of cards, we have a couple to think about. But for being a just starting podcast, we were able to get a partnership with someone who makes some pretty amazing cards themselves. My friend Barth over on Twitter.
That's BAERTHE.
Yeah, it's the real Barth. We'll have everything linked in the description below. He decided to partner with us, have a sponsorship with us, and we are using him because he makes some pretty amazing, cool, and different looking designs for tokens.
I like them a lot. I like the dark gothic theme that they have, and they're almost surreal. It inspired me to actually build a token deck, which I'm not big into tokens, because if I have a token deck, I want to have all the tokens out. I don't like putting dice in place of tokens and stuff. I want to have all the cards and tokens out on my playmat. So now that we have this partnership and we got some of his tokens, that I actually went out and I made a token deck. And it's pretty sweet.
It's really sweet. We'll have a couple pop up here in between us, but if you want to get your own, like we said, really cool steampunk dark style.
They come in packs of 50, 60?
It depends. I think one comes in a pack of 50. It's like a deck box.
It's like a playing card box.
Of cards. Yeah. And then you can actually get individuals if you're not feeling like buying just a box of sets cards.
Right.
One thing we should mention, though, is he makes some pretty amazing alternative lands too.
He makes alternative lands. Obviously, you wouldn't be able to play them in tournaments and stuff like that because they're not legal cards. But it does add a little bit of spice and bling to your deck if you're looking to get something outside of the norm. So you have those different lands, as well as proxy cards of major cards that you might be wanting, like Chromatic Lantern. They have Soul Ring,
Mox Opal,
some legendary creatures too, right?
Yeah, there's some commanders that you could use, such as one that's slipping my mind right now, Marchesa.
Marin
there's a couple of them. He actually had Planeswalkers too. Karn Liberated was one that he sent us, which was really awesome to see in his style.
That one's really cool, and obviously Karn's an expensive card, so it's not something that everyone will be able to afford.
Yeah, it's just a proxy.
So it's good to have that proxy. Yeah. I mean, make sure with your play group that it's okay if you use those, but 9 times out of 10, especially for casual play groups like what we have, it's not a big issue if we have some proxies here or there.
Yeah, but if you want to check some out for yourself, maybe cop yourself some. He does have some on his website. Really cool. He made the website himself too, which I thought was really sweet. It's amrathalchemy.com. Both A's are capital. That'll be linked in the description along with his Twitter. He does have a Patreon and all that, so if you like his art, you can go follow him over on Patreon. But I think it's time to get into cards that we have.
Do you want to go first?
Yeah. I actually have it wasn't a legendary land, I don't think. It was just a rare land. It's Karn's Bastion.
I think that one's actually an uncommon.
Is it an uncommon?
I believe so.
Go ahead and talk about it. I'll talk about it. You look it up. But it taps to add a colorless, a diamond, or whatever you would like to call it, a waste. And then it has an alternative option where you can pay 4, tap it, and proliferate.
It is a rare, by the way.
Okay, so it is a rare land. That's just, I feel, in this set, number one, it's spice. It makes so much sense in this format where there's going to be a lot of +1/+1 counters, a lot of loyalty counters, and not even that. But I think, like we were talking about before the podcast, this would be really good in not just a regular Super Friends deck for Planeswalkers, but +1/+1 counters is where I see it shining the most.
Counters, that's where it's going to shine the most. Especially with War of the Spark coming out, there is going to be an influx of Planeswalkers in all decks across the board. No matter what deck you're running, I'm sure people are going to be excited and want to throw more of these Planeswalkers, especially that a lot of them are on uncommon and stuff like that. They're going to want to throw these Planeswalkers in their decks.
Yeah.
So when you have a bunch of Planeswalkers, and a lot of them that just keep ticking down until they die.
Yeah, that's true.
This Karn's Bastion allows them to maybe you might get 1 or 2 more activations out of this Planeswalker as long as opponents don't attack them and things like that. So it's going to be good for a little while people are excited and using all these Planeswalkers. And then once the hype dies down a little bit, it's going to settle back, and it's more than likely going to see most play in token strategies, +1/+1 strategies, because those normally go together. But +1/+1 counter strategies, and then some of the Super Friend decks that stay around.
What's also pretty amazing about this is because it's a land, it's harder to target. I mean, red in this set, I think got a couple. I think it got Demolish and a couple other cards that destroy lands.
Those are reprints.
Yeah, you don't really see those often.
No. Yeah, I mean, unless you're playing in a group that likes to play Strip Mine or things like that, they're not going to get rid of it. And honestly, I don't know. I mean, I have a Strip Mine. I have some cards with some targeted land destruction. Even if I see Karn's Bastion out there, I don't know if I'm really going to want to waste, unless I'm able to recur the Strip Mine. I don't want to waste the Strip Mine on that. I'd rather take out like your Temple of the False God or something that's ramping you, or I don't know, maybe like your Urborg, Tomb of Yawgmoth, or Cabal Coffers or something. I'd want to go more for that.
To be fair, a lot of the time when it comes to proliferate, you can just board wipe, and then at that point, you don't need to get rid of the land, because you just board wiped everything that they were proliferating.
Right.
But of course, this card is also only really good in something like EDH or Oathbreaker, because you're going to be getting a lot of land out. And in things like Standard, Modern, I'm not know too much about the other formats, but they're not gonna get enough mana out to not only proliferate, but be able to play other spells that affect the board in a major way.
Right. Yeah. I agree.
So that's it for my first one that I have. We do have a couple more to talk about, so I don't know if you wanted to talk about yours next.
Yeah, my first one is more focused towards Commander. It's Nib Misery Reborn. Now, I love 5-color commanders. My most recent one is Joda, Archmage. So I just like having options, and with Joda, and 5-color in general, you have all the options. You can play absolutely any card in Magic that isn't banned in whatever in Commander. So Nib Misery Reborn is really interesting. It's Wooburg, so it's white, blue, black, red, green for Nib Misery Reborn, legendary creature dragon avatar. He's a 6/6 with flying, and when Nib Misery Reborn enters the battlefield, reveal the top 10 cards of your library. For each color pair, choose a card that's exactly those pairs from among them. Put the chosen cards into your hand and the rest in the bottom of your library in any order, or in a random order. So this card, it draws you cards. And when you're building around this commander, you're going to be putting a lot of different color pairings together. So you're going to be looking at cards that are each of the guilds, basically, and putting them in there, because when you are able to drop Nib Mizzet and then blink him, and I'm sure is going to be a big strategy in that deck, is playing like white, blue blink effects, things like that. You're going to want him blink him in and out, and then continue drawing cards. And if you build around him and you can draw 5, even if you draw like 3 or 4, I would be happy with that. But you could draw 5, 6, 7, up to 10 cards. I don't think that's likely, but you're going to be drawing a lot of cards. So this, I really like this card. I think it's going to be a fun build around me. I know there is a way, I don't know the exact combo, but there is a way with competitive EDH where, since you're also putting cards at the bottom of your library in a random order, you can go and combo with that and win very early. I'm more interested in the dirtily build where I just put a lot of flavorful, probably just like an all Ravnica deck where it's just like all my favorite Ravnica cards from different guilds in the deck. And then just playing Nib Misery and playing with all of it.
Yeah, but I mean, like we talked about in our last episode, if you guys haven't checked that one out, go to our first pilot episode. I mean, we talked, we're not Spikes, so we're not going to be playing that competitive EDH.
I just like playing big things. And
and
Nib Misery is
it's a big thing.
It's a 6/6 flyer for 5.
It gives you so many options, though.
It gives you options. You can do multiple things with it. And then I really like the fact that I can like, what's that? Is it like a Kithkin or a shapeshifter that it's like 2 white blue, you play it and then you can pay like 2 white blue and tap it and blink something.
Blink it,
Is it like Mistveil Witch or Miss
yeah,
Meadow Witch? Miss Meadow Witch. We'll have
it here.
Yeah, show up. Miss Meadow Witch. So you can play that. You can draw her off of Nib Misery possibly, and then when you play her, now you can continually blink Nib Misery every turn and continue to the effect.
Okay, so my question is, in a format like Oathbreaker, would you ever have him? I guess you couldn't.
There's no
5
5-color Planeswalkers.
Yeah.
So
Okay,
you
fair
couldn't
enough.
It's more of a commander card.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, it's strictly commander.
Strictly commander. I don't think it's going to see any other play outside of that.
That's a good point. I didn't even think of that.
But no, I'm really excited about that card. I'm planning on building around that.
Yeah. Okay. So the next one that I have is actually a little different for me. I don't play a lot of Rakdos, but I thought this one was good because upcoming I'll be having a Judith deck that I'll be making an Aristocrat sack Rakdos. I have Mayhem Devil, which is 1 black-red for a creature that's a 3/3, and whenever a player sacks a creature, Mayhem Devil deals 1 damage to any target, which, especially in Aristocrat
style,
really good because you yourself are going to be sacrificing creature, especially in a deck like Judith that I plan on building it around or building Mayhem Devil into. It's going to be really good, but also in decks that hold things like what's the one that whenever you play a creature or when you ever sacrifice a creature, other people sacrifice a creature.
Oh, like so there's Blood or Grave Pact. Dictative Erebos.
Dictative Erebos, that's the one I was thinking of.
Butcher of Malachor.
Yeah.
Those are all sacrifice effects.
Other
edict
things,
effects, I think is what they're called.
Other things that make you and other players sacrifice creatures. You have Mayhem Devil out, and you're playing in dealing a lot of damage to either a player, Planeswalker, and that's why it's so good. Is it has so much flexibility to it because it's any target,
right? So you can and there are ways to get infinite. You can infinitely sack something. There are those cards that they have persist, and you pair it with something that gives them undying. Where it's -1/-1 counter, +1/+1 counter, cancel each other out. And you can continually sack it over and over and over again.
Yeah.
That with Mayhem Devil out can just like machine gun down not only the field but all the players too. So that combos very well, and it'll be a good win condition for those Aristocrat style decks. I like that card a lot. I used to have Aristocrat, Alesha who smiles at death deck.
That's true. I forgot about that one.
And that one had some combos, and that card would go great in that shell.
The other thing that I really like is it's cheap. It's really cheap. It's only 3 mana.
3 mana 3/3 on its own is decent stats.
You had that Aristocrat style ping.
Yep, and then it has the pinging damage on top of it. It's a good card. I like that one a lot.
Yeah, that's my number 2 pick. None of these are really going in order of choice. This is just cards that we like. But what was your next one that you had?
My next one was actually, of course, me being a giant Timmy, Nyssa who shakes the world. So it's a legendary Planeswalker Nyssa for 3 green. Starts with 5 loyalty. Whenever you tap a forest for mana, add an additional green mana. Her +1 is put 3/1/1 counters on up to 1 target non-creature land you control. Untap it. It becomes a 0/0 elemental creature with vigilance and hasten, and that's still a land. And you can -8 her to get an emblem that makes all your lands indestructible. And you can also search your library for any number of forests and put them on the battlefield tapped. Shuffle your library. So this card on its own, without talking about even the mana ability or the loyalty abilities, it doubles your mana if you're in mono green.
Yeah, it's a Mirari's Wake, but
Mirari's Wake a little bit restricted because you can only tap for extra mana on forests. But if you're in mono green, if you're playing Oathbreaker and have Nyssa at the helm, and you're in mono green anyways, doubling your mana is a very powerful effect. There's a reason that things like Mirari's Wake and Zendikar Resurgence and things like that are really expensive cards because really expensive relatively, because doubling your mana is a very powerful effect. So with Nyssa, it just allows you to ramp super hard. You're already ramping. You're in green.
Point, yeah.
So you're already ramping, and now all your lands tap for double. You're going to be able to play these giant creatures.
Yeah.
With our +1 effect, you're making your lands into dudes and swinging, which, of course, if you saw our Nyssa deck, or my Nyssa deck tech already, you know I already love doing that. One thing that I did note here is something different on this card that's not in other effects that do the same thing is it makes sure that the land you're making isn't already a creature. Because the other ones, you can put 1/1 counters on a land and make it a creature. And then if you do it again, you can continue putting the 1/1 counters on the same land.
I didn't even know that.
But this one specifically says it has to not be a creature. It has to be a non-creature land. So you're always making a new one. So that is one thing I'm not too sure on. I don't really like, because I like if you want the ability and option to be able to just build up on one land rather than spread it out. And then of course making your lands indestructible and looking and getting all the force out of your deck and onto the field. That's extremely powerful if you can get her up to 8.
Yeah, and I just love playing this card. And I know, we're mainly going to talk about Oathbreaker and Commander, but I play her in Arena and Standard. And let me tell you, you get her out along with the one druid that lets you proliferate every time you play a land, and you ult her.
Yeah.
And then you just pump everything. Even in Oathbreaker, something if you put those combo in and you're able to ult on her, everything that you have on the field, all your big guys, all your lands that you create are all just going to get pumped tremendously.
Yeah, not only they're indestructible, so they're not going anywhere. Which is always a big downfall of strategies where decks like to turn their lands into creatures is you're afraid of a board wipe. And then not only do you lose all the creatures you spent time making, but now you also lost all your lands.
See, you want to know what's funny is I was talking about that combo that I had going, and someone's like, because I was playing against a mono white deck and they had 60 something life, well I bashed them in the face for like 70. But the only thing is like, oh, you're playing mono white? What about a Settle the Wreckage?
Yeah,
that would have ruined me. But it's
exile. Did you already ultimate?
Yeah, it was ulting and then swung in, and then
I was gonna say because normally it exiles it, and then you get to go look for your lands.
But it exiled all my lands.
Yeah. Did they do that?
No, they did not. I won that game. But no, what I also find interesting about all these Planeswalkers is that because of the static ability, there is a sort of
enchantment.
Well, yeah, but it's like I forget what the word I'm looking for is. There's a want to put them past their ulting ability, so that way you can keep the static ability, especially for Nyssa. If you want to continue doubling your land, not only is your land vigilance, haste, indestructible, but you can continue making a bunch of creatures,
making them indestructible,
and they still tap for that 2 mana. But Nyssa, very amazing card. I love her. She's only $3 right now, but we talked about it. We can see her going up in price.
Yeah, I can definitely see her going up in price. It's not as strong as things like Morari's Wake and Zendikar Resurgence, just because it's a Planeswalker, so it's a little more fragile. Like, at least with the enchantments, yes, they can be removed, but your opponents can't attack them in order to remove them.
That's true.
With Nyssa, you have that effect, but she can be removed by attacking or effects that kill Planeswalkers. Yeah. So she's a little more fragile, but we still think that she's going to go up in price, especially if she sees any play anywhere else besides Commander Oathbreaker.
Yeah, that's a good point. I think we're actually going to be hitting our first sorcery that we're talking about, unless you talked to forget. But this is a white card. It's the Finale of Glory. It is X white for sorcery, and you create X 2/2 white soldiers with vigilance, and then if X is 10 or more, you create that many 4/4 vigilant flying angels.
Yeah.
Which the one that I kind of compare this to is a Entreat the Angels on a stick, except there's no Entreat the Angels. And you're paying that extra white. But Entreat the Angels originally, I believe it was like white XX.
Yeah, it's XX in order to make 4/4 angels, but it has Miracle where you just pay 1X and white.
Yeah.
To make the angels if it was the first card you drew that turn.
But the main thing that I'm looking at here on this sorcery is that it's just X white to create a bunch of 2/2 vigilant knights. Yeah. Which in things like my Tristani, Selesnya token deck, tokens is what I want, and tokens for cheap is even better, especially if you have Nyssa for more mana, or Mirari's Wake or something else like that doubles your mana. You're gonna be able to play many.
Not Nyssa. I mean, if you're in a white green deck, yeah.
But like Nyssa, just a double mana in any sort of fashion.
Yeah. So at the very bare minimum, it's a White Sun Zenith, and a better White Sun Zenith because it gives them vigilance.
Yeah. Oh, are they not vigilant?
It's the same cost. I don't think the cats that you make in White Sun Zenith is vigilant. But these ones are vigilant, so it's on its like worst, it's still that. And late game, or if you're able to create a bunch of mana and you are able to make a bunch of 4/4 white angels, it is very good, and it's going to be very hard to stop. A lot of people kind of disregard just the fact of like vanilla flyers, but 4/4 flyers, and a lot of them, they win games. Like there's a reason that Luminarch Ascension is so good. It's because if it comes down early and someone's pumping out 4/4 angels in like turn 2, or turn 3, and they're pumping out 4/4 angels, that game's gonna go pretty fast unless someone deals with it, because 4/4 flying angels will punch people in the face pretty hard. Yeah,
I mean, and everyone kind of tosses this off to the side because it talks about if X is 10 or more, but like we talked about, mana isn't no problem in EDH really, because if you're dropping this turn 10. Plus past whatever, if you're playing in a white green deck, I don't see many mono white token decks a lot.
No,
but a lot of the time it's going to be Selesnya tokens.
Yeah, and like mono white's going to have trouble getting to the mana that is able to do the 4/4 angels. But if it's white and green or anything like that, like you're going to be able to get more mana. Or white and black, and you have the mana doublers in black, like you'll be able to do that a lot easier. Yeah,
but I mean that's just a little sorcery that I thought was worth a mention, and that I'm definitely gonna be putting into my tokens deck. So.
Oh yeah, for sure. And then mine is I have a sorcery as well, another finale. Mine's the Finale of Devastation. It's X green for a sorcery. Search your library and or graveyard for a creature card with converted mana cost X or less and put it onto the battlefield. And if you search your library this way, shuffle it. If X is 10 or more, creatures you control get +X and haste until end of turn. So Green
all
Sun...
creatures you control?
What?
All creatures you control?
Yeah, all creatures you control.
That's so good.
So Green Sun... So I think now I didn't notice this before, but I think they were basing all of these finales off of the Zeniths.
Yeah.
Yeah, because they're all the same in their respective color.
Blue Sun Zenith, let you draw cards, and that's what
black. I think the black one differs because I think the black finale is destroying creatures with toughness X or less, and then if X is 10 or more, it brings them all onto your field. Whereas Black Sun Zenith just gives X -1/-1 counter. So it's similar.
Yeah. Okay. But that one is it sounds a little better.
Yeah. Oh, yeah,
Black
yeah.
one, yeah.
But anyways, Finale of Devastation, really good. It's a Green Sun Zenith that can also look into your graveyard. It's not just your deck. So if you want to get something back from the graveyard and put it onto the field, it's very good.
Yeah.
And then, of course, X is 10 or more, giving all your guys +X and haste. That's extremely good. Like, that's game winning.
Yeah.
If you're at a turn where you can pay 12 mana into this at least, and then look for something that's huge, and then give all your guys +X and haste, you're probably winning that game anyways.
Yeah.
As long as you also have a way to give trample or something like that, because this on
that's
its own,
where it's lacking.
Yeah, this on its own, I don't think. It doesn't just win the game on its own, but if you have, I don't know, Pathbreaker Ibex, or if you go get a Craterhoof Behemoth, and anything like that, or what's that Craterhoof Behemoth?
For what?
The one that makes your creatures assign combat damage as if they weren't blocked.
Yeah.
If you go get that, and then everything gets +X, and they all have haste, and it attacks, and then you just assign damage.
Yeah, but imagine having a card like this mixed with Finale of Glory. The first turn you play Finale of Glory, you get all those tokens out. Next turn you play this.
If you have 10 4/4 angels, you're winning that game. You don't.
Yeah,
this is a win more situation.
But then swinging all those angels with 14.
I don't know.
You got to remember you're going up against multiple opponents. So say you can kill all 3 of them. Like you're playing 4 people. You can kill all 3 of them with a bunch of angels.
If you're doing that, you're in the late game where their health isn't at 20 or their health isn't at 40 already. If you're playing Commander, they've been getting hit and knocked down. So
you just swing 2 angels at them.
Late game, 10/4/4 angels is probably going to wipe everyone out.
Yeah, fair enough.
So, but that would be an interesting interaction, but your friends might hate you because they're like, dude, you could have killed us anyways. Why did you have to do Finale of Devastation too?
It's called overkill.
Yeah, definitely.
Stating your dominance, okay? We're Timmy's. Okay. But another card that we had, and I see this for me, especially in this set of cards, I noticed a lot of tokens going on. And so my next card is a God card. So God Eternal Oketra, which is 3 white for a 3/6 with double strike. And whenever you cast a creature spell, you create a 4/4 white zombie warrior with vigilance. And then if Oketra happens to die or get exiled, you bury her 3 cards deep. Mm-hmm. So she's never going to die unless she gets countered, or you mill her off the top, which not a lot of people are doing. And then whenever you're casting a creature spell, I believe it's just whenever you cast a creature spell, you get another creature.
Yeah.
So especially
and
in
a big
white,
one too. It's not like you're just making a little token. Like it's a 4/4
It's a 4/4 with vigilance.
Yeah.
So for 5, you get a token maker basically for free that can hit for 6 and basically can't die. Mm-hmm. And it's cheap too.
These gods in this set are interesting because they don't have any restrictions on when they can attack or when they're creatures like the Theros gods or the Amonkhet gods.
That's true.
They just show up and they are hard to get rid of or impossible to get rid of.
Yeah.
And permanently. And they can also attack right away.
Yeah.
Well, not right away, but after their summoning sickness, you know. So these cards are very interesting, and the fact that I don't know, the cast creature. I mean, I guess it's good.
Well, you're playing white, so you're gonna be wanting to play a lot of creatures to begin with.
Yeah,
because if you like, say this is a white weenie deck, you're casting a lot of creatures to begin with. Having Oketra out and then casting those creatures to get more value out of just a 5-drop 3/6 that can't die. So I mean, you build your army very quick, especially if you're playing a bunch of low drop creatures. Mm-hmm. So I think personally this is really good on its own in a mono white deck.
I think. See, I don't know if I agree with you on that because. So you're saying like mono white deck, like Commander, and putting her at the helm, and then whenever she dies, just put her 3 cards deep.
Because you're avoiding the Commander cost again.
You're avoiding the Commander cost, but white doesn't draw cards very well.
That's true.
And now your 3rd card is going to be your Commander.
Yeah, but
and it's going to take 3 turns to get there.
You got to remember. So a lot of the time, like when I play any sort of white at all of my white decks have some sort of life gain. So I'm going to be playing life gain in this. So I'm also be playing the enchantment that whenever you gain life, you draw a card if you paid the mana.
What card is that?
Dawn from something. It's like whenever you gain life, you pay 1 and draw a card, or pay 2 and draw a card. It's a really good.
It's not in there, and it should be.
You play Treasure Map, or is it Treasure Map? The one from Ixalan that flips.
That one's it's Treasure Map. I'm thinking Expedition Map, but
so Treasure Map. I mean, once you're able to flip it, and then you have something like, is it Smothering Tithe, and you're creating tokens off that whenever other people draw cards. But now when you flip Treasure Map, you can tap it, sacrifice a treasure to draw a card. So, I mean, there are ways in white to draw cards. But, I mean, even if I can't draw the cards, or, I mean, when we've played, you have your 8.5 Tails deck, and I've seen you ramp like nobody's business. I wasn't ramping.
I was just hitting every land drop.
So, I mean, and if I can't pay, if I know that I can't draw those cards, or I know that I can't pay the mana, or if either or, I'll send her to the command zone.
Yeah.
So I mean, so fair. I think Oketra is just a good card in general.
No, I do think, and just getting 4/4s whenever you cast a creature is good value.
Yeah, you're doing what you're supposed to be doing.
And when
Magic, so.
I think she's better in a deck where she's not at the helm, and that it's like a token deck, like your white green Tristani or my 4-color token deck. I think would be really good with that.
Imagine putting Helm of the Host on her.
Helm of the Host would be very good because I'm pretty sure she'll see and they will see each other one, and you'll just make a bunch of 4/4s. Yeah, that one's pretty good.
Yeah, Helm of the Host is a 4-drop for an enchantment that whenever you attach, you can pay 5 attached to a creature at the beginning of your beginning of your combat phase. You create a copy of that token, except it's not legendary. And so now whenever you cast a spell, you're creating twice as many. And then Tristani, in my Tristani deck, I have Doubling Season. So I'm creating...
Do you have a Doubling Season?
No, not Doubling Season. I have Parallel Lives. Okay. I'm getting Doubling Season soon.
The cheap Doubling Season.
The Parallel Lives. So I'm creating 4 tokens. So it's just...
You do know Doubling Season probably like skyrocketed in price because of War of the Spark,
right? Come on.
It's like...
I forgot. I should have gotten it for 60.
It used to be like $30 or something, but now it's probably like 60.
Oh, I thought it was 60 to be honest. Anyways, we have more cards to talk about. What's your next one?
My next one is Liliana Dreadhorde General, which a lot of people are talking about, but I just wanted to make sure we're
conforming.
Yeah, conforming a little bit. So it's 4 black for a legendary Planeswalker Liliana. She comes down with 6 loyalty, which is a lot for, 6 mana, 6 loyalty. That's good stats. Whenever a creature you control dies, draw a card. Her +1 is to create a 2/2 black zombie creature token. Her -4 is each player sacrifices 2 creatures, and her -9 is each opponent chooses a permanent they control of each permanent type and sacrifices the rest. So her ultimate is Cataclysm, which is a little off color because Cataclysm's 2 white. Each player picks a permanent they control and sacrifices the rest. Which is very interesting because that even gets rid of all the lands. So if you have that,
there's that other one.
If you're able to -9 her, and you have a giant creature on the board or an army of zombies, or you just what is it? What's the Dark Realms? Something of the Dark Realms.
I don't know.
Oh, the giant black enchantment. It's like 6 black or 6 black. Put all creatures from all graveyards on the battlefield under your control. Like if you do that, and then Liliana. And everyone gets rid of all their lands. Like you basically won that.
I might build a mono black deck around her. That sounds really good.
That would be real fun. But anyways, and then a notable thing is her static ability. Whenever a creature you control dies, draw a card. We've seen this before in a lot of cards, but they are all say whenever a non-token creature you control dies, draw a card.
She's everything.
This one, whenever you have tokens dying, draws a card as well.
And it's you control?
Yes, it's one that we control. Yeah, or you control. So that's very powerful. That's gonna go very well in all token decks.
Yeah, she's going in Tristani, or not Tristani.
It works with herself because you +1 her, you make a 2/2 black zombie. And then next turn you -4 her. Each player sacrifices 2 creatures, including yourself. Now you're drawing 2 cards at least. Because even if you sacrifice tokens, because they don't matter, they're just tokens, you can make more. You're still drawing cards.
Yeah, no, that's a good point.
That's very powerful. And if you're an aristocrat style deck, like a lot of times they want to make tokens,
you're going to be drawing so many cards.
You're going to be sacrificing a lot of tokens. You're going to be drawing cards. It's a really good card. I like it a lot. Yeah. That like static ability, like at first you read it, you're like, okay, that's cool. And then you look back and you're like, wait, that's non-token. Yeah. Or it doesn't say non-token. So that's very powerful.
Point. I never thought of that whole, a lot of the cards say when a non-token creature dies. The only problem I have with her, and especially in a format like Oathbreaker, if you're putting her at the helm, she's 6, and I also, that's why I didn't have the mono black, or no, it was not, yeah, it was the mono black, I think, Sorin, or maybe not.
I think he's 4 black.
Yeah, he's 6. It's just these high casting, and she comes in with 6, which is good.
You would have to build around her. You'd have to play a very control style black deck. One that makes or constantly making people sacrificing their creatures, so they're not dying early. And controlling the board, maybe playing some Withering Boon, countering some spells in black. That's fun. And stuff like that, just controlling the board until you can actually get Liliana out. Yeah. That's probably what you're doing.
That's a good point. Yeah. I mean, she's a really good planeswalker. There's a reason she's going up in price.
Yeah, she's really good.
People are finding ways to.
And she's going to be played in things like Standard just because she has everything needed to make her good and give you a good engine. She makes things that protect her. She gives you a way to draw cards. She can basically make you draw the cards herself, and then if you're able to ultimate her, you basically win the game as long as you have board state.
Yeah.
And that effect happens to all opponents, not you.
Not you.
So all your opponents only have 1 of each permanent, including lands. You have everything.
No, my Karn's Bastion.
I mean, you could choose that one. You can choose that one to destroy the rest.
I don't want to. At that
I
point.
wouldn't either.
I don't have anything else.
But yeah, so she is probably going to go up in price. I would try to pick her up as soon as possible, or wait until she rotates. But
and then just spend a lot of
money. Who has that amount of patience?
Right. That's why I almost dropped 40 onto Ferry. Anyways, we're going into black now. We went from white to black. I have Bolas's Citadel. That's what I'm saying.
Oh, okay.
I'm going into black too.
There's no white to black or anything. Whatever.
We have Bolas's Citadel, which is 3 black for a legendary artifact that you can look at the top card of your library at any time, and then if you want to cast the card, you just pay life, and you can cast it for free.
Yeah, there's a spell that does the same thing. It's the name of it's escaping me. But there's a black sorcery that does the same thing. You look at but it's only a one-time effect.
Yeah, it's
look
a sorcery.
At the top card,
this is an artifact.
You pay life and you cast that card. It's a strong effect.
Yeah.
It's very powerful. 3 black is expensive, and it's an artifact, so it's a little fragile. But if you're able to do this more than once, it's pretty good.
Yeah, especially in a format like Commander where you have 40 life and you really don't care about spending all that life. Because
and you have to tap it in order to play, in order to look at the top card and play it, right?
Yes.
So you can only do it once.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. But actually, no, because the only tap ability is tap it, sack 10 permanents, and deal 10 damage to everyone. So you can always look at the top card of your library.
Does it only allow you to do it at sorcery speed? I'm gonna have to look.
Yeah, look that up. I don't know about that. I think maybe because it'd be broken if it was instant speed for everything.
Yeah, if you were able to do that on each player's turn, that'd be pretty good.
But this is definitely a card I'm looking at possibly getting for my artifact deck. Because say I have Bolas's Citadel out and I'm able to get something on top of the library like Darksteel Forge.
It has no restrictions. So if it's an instant on your deck or you have Vidalcan Orrery out, you can play it at any time.
So you have to have those out though. You can't instant. I guess no. It's still the restriction.
You still have to cast cards with whatever speed they are.
But if you're playing Esper, if you're playing Esper and you have Teferi out,
I mean
you can cast sorceries. But I think this is just a good card mainly for Commander. In Oathbreaker, it's a little fragile because you're not going to be you don't want to lose all of that health unless you're playing some form of life gain.
With Commander, you have the higher life total as kind of a buffer, and you have that you have a higher ability to use your life total as a resource, and it kind of gives you that ability. In Oathbreaker, when you have 20 life, you're not going to be wanting to do this unless you're winning the game that turn.
Yeah.
But still, being able, I mean, you're cheating a card out. You're not paying any mana for it. It's powerful.
Yeah. It's
anything that does that is powerful.
And then what I like the most is people aren't really paying attention to it too much, but I play a lot of token decks. I've been getting into aristocrats lately. But if I'm able to tap it and sack 10 of my tokens to deal 10 damage to all opponents, that's worth because I just hit everyone for 10.
And that does make it worth it in Oathbreaker because that's half their life.
That's true.
That would be like something in Commander saying tap, sacrifice 10 permanents, deal 20 damage.
So I guess the only thing that I want to do with this in Oathbreaker, and remember it's also an expensive casting cost at 6 and then 3 black. So if you're playing 2 colors, it's better. But if you're playing anything past 3 or more, it's going to be more difficult to get this out.
Not a lot of options outside of like Nicol Bolas with 3 colors. Or I mean, I guess
even then I feel like he's pretty. I guess you
could do like Amanatu or something. Most of the time in Oathbreaker, you're playing 1 or 2 colors.
Yeah, just with tokens being able to attack and to hit everybody. But I see this more as a commander card, but it can be used as an Oathbreaker. But that's the last of my 5 that I want to go with. I believe you do have one more.
Yeah, I do. It is Ilharg, the Raised Boar. This is so me. It is red instead of green, but it does everything I want it to do. So it's 3 red for 6/6 Boar God with Trample. That's metal. That's metal as crap. Yeah. The artwork reminds me of what's that anime movie we just watched the other night?
Princess
Mononoke.
Yeah.
Mononoke. So yeah, he looks badass. He has Trample. And whenever Ilharg the Raised Boar attacks, you may put a creature card from your hand onto the battlefield tapped and attacking. Return that creature to your hand at the beginning of the next end step. And when Ilharg the Raised Boar dies or is put into exile from the battlefield, you may put it in its owner's library 3rd from the top. So he has that god ability.
Because he's a god.
Yeah, he has the god ability that the other ones do. this is a sweet effect. I mean, it doesn't care about casting costs. You have, if let's say you're in a red-green deck, or you're in a Mael of the Anima deck, which is Maya, and you already have big dudes. You Mael the Anima, put him from your library into play, attack with him, and then you put I don't know, a giant dragon from your hand into play, smash face, and then you get it back into your hand.
See, the only problem, or a dragon that makes tokens.
Dragon that makes tokens, the tokens stay, but the dragon goes back in your hand, and you can do it again next turn.
See, the only problem I have is I saw this card. I think everyone saw this card, and they're like, why is this not green? Why is this not Gruul? Number one, flavor-wise, the Gruul are the one who worship this god. Number two, it kind of makes me upset because the art, his hair, his mane going down his back is green. And so it's just like, it looks weird.
I'll tell you why he is. You can keep talking about it.
But I feel like red. To be fair, in green, if it was Gruul, it'd be broken. But if it was just
broken in Gruul.
Well,
just as a commander, because you can play him as your commander?
Well, you can play him as your commander, but at the same time, not only you're running red and green, respectively. So you're like, maybe it's just my preference. When I'm running a 2-color deck, I have more of those 2-color cards. So I have more cards in there. Like you can have, no, that's a 3-color. I was thinking of a 3-headed dino. I don't know. If it had green in it, I think it'd be broken.
Yeah, I don't see a ton of people. I mean, you definitely could play him as the commander because red's getting a lot more support nowadays.
Yeah.
So you definitely could play him as your commander, but I see him more as going in the 99, like in a Mile the Anima deck or any deck that wants like big stompy creatures, like in the Xenagod deck. He would be good in. But I'll tell you why he's red and not green. It's because of a card from way back. This one's from Urza Saga. I don't know if that was the first printing of it, but it's called Sneak Attack. It's 3 in a red enchantment. Pay red, choose a creature card from your hand, put that creature into play. The creature is unaffected by Summoning Sickness, so it has haste, and at the end of turn, sacrifice a creature. That is a very red effect. And there's been multiple red cards that do the same thing, and that's why he's in red and does that effect.
That's fair.
Because he's Sneak Attack on a stick, except he returns it to your hand and you don't have to sacrifice it.
Oh, that one's sacrifice.
This one, Sneak Attack sacrifices it.
So Ilharg is actually way better.
Ilharg returns it. Yeah. So Ilharg's...
I don't know. And I saw him...
Just the fact that he's a 6/6 for 5 and has trample, that's really good.
Imagine getting him and then flashing out the Enraze Boar Runner or whatever. That one green one with him on it.
+2 trample and haste to all your creatures.
Yeah.
I mean, he could just win games.
Yeah, I think he's a very, very good card. Just upset that green wasn't in there anywhere.
Yeah, oh no, me too. Because I would love to build a commander deck around him that was Gruul and had him at the helm. But whatever. I mean, you could, like I said, you could still build around him because red's gotten some good support lately.
Yeah. But I think that's our top 5 picks each, not top 5, but
top 10.
Cards that we like.
Yeah.
And then we do have some honorable mentions to talk about.
Yep.
I don't know if you want to go with yours first.
Yeah, I just have one. Mine is Heartwarming Redemption. So I just like this card because it's a way to draw cards in Boros, which is definitely needed in the Boros color pairing. It's 2 red-white for an instant, and it's instant speed. Okay. That's pretty good.
Okay.
You discard all the cards in your hand. You draw that many cards +1, so it is card advantage because you are drawing 1 more card than you usually do.
It's also replacing itself.
Than you already had. Yeah, and it replaces itself. And you gain life equal to the number of cards in your hand. So it's very red-white because it wheels you like red, and it gains you life like white. It's instant speed, so you can hold up mana for things like let's say some Swords of Plowshares or things like that to protect yourself or your creatures. And then if nothing happens and it's about to be your turn, on the end step before your turn, you do this, you get a full new grip of cards.
But how often will you be holding up mana in Boros? How often are you holding up mana?
You're holding up mana if you let's say you have a bunch of lands and then
because that's like some form of blue deck holding up mana. You're just like, all right, dude. What do you got to
card draw in Boros? Like it's just good that we got it. We can use all the card draw we can get in Boros.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, it's all right. It's got Gideon on it.
It's got Gideon, and it brings a tear to my eye.
Yeah, it's made me cry when I saw it. But you're right. It's card draw. It's a one-time use thing, though.
It is a one-time use.
That's why it's an honorable mention, though.
Yeah, it's not like a great card. Like
Yeah.
the other cards are all cards that we're excited for and are going to be putting into decks. That one, I mean, I don't really have any Boros decks, but if I did, it would be going in there. But I'm not.
I need to make one soon.
Not super excited about it, but that's why it's just an honorable mention.
Yeah, and I do have one too, except people may get upset at me for saying this because this is a card that we'll be seeing a lot of play and a spike in price here soon. And that is Ferry, Time Reveler. It's 1 white blue for a 4 loyalty planeswalker that has a static ability of each opponent can only cast spells on as if they were like sorceries. So they can only cast instants at sorcery speeds or things with flash at sorcery speed. His +1 is you can cast sorceries at instant speed with flash.
Until your next turn.
Until your next turn. And his -3 is return target artifact, creature, or enchantment to its owner's hand, and then you draw a card. The reason this is a honorable mention for me, I love Teferi just as a character. I love him. He's amazing. But I just feel like his static ability is Teferi. Like that's what the original Teferi card did. But I feel like there could have been maybe a little bit more. Maybe his static ability could have been you can cast things at instant speed, and then his +1 was your opponents can only.
He's not going to see as much play as like the Dominaria Teferi.
Yeah.
Like I don't think he's going to go up to $40. I do think he
I
will
can see
see
him
play.
going up to 20
I do
30.
think he'll see play because he's cheap. He's 1 blue white.
Yeah.
So he's only 3 mana. He comes down with 4 loyalty, which is already good stats. He returns a creature to the hand, so he protects himself, and you draw a card right away.
That's true.
I just don't see him being quite as powerful as the other one, but that's fine for us because he's still good in Oathbreaker and Commander, but I don't think he's going to be see play in Standard, or at least not as much as the other Teferi. So I don't know. I'm looking at the other Teferi now to kind of see the difference.
He's strictly better. His +1 is untap 2. The other Teferi we're talking about is +1 is untap 2 lands, draw a card at your end step, I believe.
Is it this one?
Yeah. Hero Domino.
He's 5 mana too.
Yeah, but he's worth getting out in the field once he's out there. But go ahead and read his abilities before we forget.
So it's Teferi, Hero of Dominaria, 3 white blue for a legendary planeswalker Teferi. This is $90 because this is the stamped pre-release promo.
Okay, yeah.
That makes sense.
He's usually 40.
+1, draw a card, and at the beginning of the next end step, untap 2 lands. So draw a card and then have counter magic up. -3, put target non-land permanent into its owner's library 3rd from the top, which is better than putting it to hand just because that like almost time walks them. And yeah, that's really good. -8, you get an emblem with whenever you draw a card, exile target permanent opponent controls.
Venser.
And then he starts with 4.
See, where I can see this Teferi being good is at the Time Reveler, the new one from War of the Spark, is in something I can see him working well in my Brago deck. Yeah. Because he can come in, I can use his ability.
It slows people down. Yeah. So they can't like with my 8.5 tails, I'm able to make it so that like Brago doesn't deal any damage and then he doesn't have his effect. Yeah. And I can do other things like that. But with Teferi on the field, I can't interact when it's your turn.
It's like having when I had Narset in there, where once I was able to alt her in some of my games, people weren't able to cast those
non-creature spells,
board wipes or things like that. But where I can really see the shining is because he's 4 loyalty, you can automatically -3 him. So he comes out onto the field with Brago. Whenever he deals damage to a player, you can blink any amount of permanents, non-land permanents. So you blink Teferi, and then you can -3 him again. And because you untapped all your permanent, because you blinked them, so they're all untapped, you have creatures to protect this Teferi to do it next turn.
That would be good.
So I just thought of that. I'm like, wow, I really regret not buying one now because I bought all the other Planeswalkers that I thought were good and not Teferi.
I think he'd be good in just a control build. Like I can see, I would want to build him even with Oathbreaker with him at the helm and just be like a control deck, like a tempo control deck.
I'd say there's a few other blue-white cards that would be a little better.
Yeah, or maybe have him as your Oathbreaker, and then once the other one drops in price, you can put them in.
Yeah, I would definitely have the Hero Dominaria in there instead because he can -3 and tuck something. This is just bouncing something to someone.
Right.
But that's my honorable mention, and I do know we have some cards that we want to talk about.
Yeah, so we mentioned earlier in the podcast we wanted to talk about cards that might be, I don't know, misinterpreted. No, like, I don't know. They might be thought of as good and played, and sure, you can play them, but overall, they're probably not going to be good enough in Commander and Oathbreaker.
Yeah.
So try them out by all means, but I think you have better options out there than these cards. And the first one I wanted to talk about was Despereaux.
Yeah.
It's an instant for 1 black, green. And it says, destroy target creature, search your library for a basic land card, put it on the battlefield tapped, then shuffle your library. Now, the effect's powerful. It's kill thing and ramp.
But for 4 mana.
That's the thing, is it's 4 mana, which is, I like, especially with my single target removal, I like keeping them very efficient and low mana cost. So like the Swords of Plowshare, Path to Exile, Anguish Unmaking is 3 and exiles anything. Just, I don't know, things like that.
Yeah.
And I don't know, 4 mana is a lot. The color restriction's kind of tough because you're black, so it's a little hard to splash.
Yeah. I think the only place where this would be really good is if you already have all those kill spells, those ramp spells, and you're like, well, I need more ramp.
Or you need
because it has.
See, both. I don't like that because then you're not going to want to play it as a ramp spell unless you're killing something.
But the thing is the way that I'm looking at this is so black. Let's say is one of the kill spells in one of the kill spells out there. The one green. Well, murder's 3. But one of the 2 mana ramp spells,
like Rampant Growth.
Yeah. So those are 2 cards on 1. That's where I can see this being good, is because it's already card advantage. That's less. You have more cards in your hand because this card here has 2 of those other cards already in it.
Yeah, but I don't see it as a ramp card. I see it as a kill spell with bonus ramp.
Yeah.
Because you're not going to want to play it unless there's something on board that you want to kill. So I wouldn't count it as ramp in that aspect because you only have a certain point where you want to cast it. It's more of a kill spell with bonus ramp. And with a kill spell, 4 mana, unless it exiles anything like Utter End, where it's just anything, any non-land permanent, I would rather just play like Utter End.
Okay, so if it had something on the card where it said search your library for a land card, would it be worth it then? Because you can go get Temple of the False God, you can go get a shock land. Dual land,
I don't know if that matters much.
So you're just saying because it's a expensive kill spell
because it's expensive, and I don't really care to ramp.
Fair enough.
Like I don't know. I'd rather just play something else.
Okay.
I'd rather play something more efficient.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think there is something there where it's card advantage and it's only
creature, so it doesn't give you a lot of options on what you can kill. It's only creatures.
Well, that's
it's
black.
Not like. Yeah, but black-green, like Putrefy, is destroy target creature or artifact.
Yeah, I'm just saying that if you're running a card with a deck that wants to kill just a lot of things, you can't deny that this is a black-green thing. Like it's a kill.
It
ramp.
is a black-green thing. But I don't know. I like my kill spells to be efficient, B to have options. Like I like being able to destroy a creature or an artifact, or I like to be able to have the option of destroying any permanent on the field.
Yeah.
Or a creature or a planeswalker or something like that. I want to have options so that it's not just a dead card in my hand if I'm playing against someone who doesn't play creatures and I'm just like, well, crap.
Yeah.
Like now I can't ramp or kill anything because it's a spell slinger deck. Like now what do I do?
See, and that's when you just pay 4 to go and ramp.
But then
it's target creature. You can't.
You have to kill something, and if they don't have anything to kill, you can't
fair
ramp.
Enough. Okay,
that's what I'm saying. I wouldn't count it as a ramp card.
Yeah, that does get a wow. This card's not the greatest.
I would, like I said, try it out. I agree. Yeah. But I think there's better options out there.
There are definitely better options. And then, did you have one more in this?
In this category, Angerths Rampage. So it's black-red for a sorcery. Choose one. Target player sacrifices an artifact. Target player sacrifices a creature. Target player sacrifices a planeswalker. Now, this one can confuse people because it does give you options. But the thing is it's sacrificing one thing and the opponent chooses. So if they have a bunch of creatures, you tell them to sacrifice a creature. They're sacrificing
just get rid of this token.
They're sacrificing their worst creature. Yeah. If they have, it might be good if someone's not playing a lot of Planeswalkers, or if it's an Oathbreaker and they only have their Oathbreaker out, you can make them sacrifice it. But especially with War of the Spark out now, there's going to be more Planeswalkers on the field. So you have them sacrifice the Planeswalker. They're like, oh, well, this guy only has 1 loyalty left. I'm not really doing anything. I'll sacrifice him.
I see this more as a 2-drop kill a Planeswalker. Kind of like the Elder Spell, except not as good.
Yeah, but then why don't you just play the Elder Spell?
Well, I am playing the Elder Spell. I just have this as a backup. You obviously have more than one card in your deck that does one thing. You have multiple ramp, you have multiple kill.
You need redundancy, that's for sure.
So in this card, it's like, oh, I have a Planeswalker kill spell, but if someone has, say you have 3 really good creatures out, and I want you to sacrifice one of them, I just spent 2 mana to kill one of the best creatures out in the field. Or say you have an artifact out. I mean, not everyone's running 20 artifacts. So you have someone blow up an artifact.
Yeah, but most of the time someone has mana ramp. And then if you really want them to get rid of an artifact, and let's say they have like a, what's it called? The really powerful one that untaps all your permanents.
Unwinding Clock?
No.
Or no, the untaps all your permanents?
Yeah, the one that's broken. It's in your...
Vanifier?
Yeah.
Are you talking about Paradox Engine?
Paradox Engine.
That's only non-land permanents.
But still, like let's say I have that on the field, and then a bunch of mana rocks, and you tell me to sacrifice a artifact. I'm like, all right, well, bye-bye Soul Ring. Like,
well, because I'm not going to throw that out and say sacrifice an artifact when you have Paradox Engine.
Wouldn't you just rather have something that destroys what you want rather than having me sacrifice?
No, I completely agree on that part. Like I said, I think this is more of this is really good in Oathbreaker Commander because so in all my Commander decks, I have 2, maybe 2, at most 3 Planeswalkers in all my decks. But with this, if you're running it in something in a Rakdos or a 3-color deck or whatever, and you're going up against an Oathbreaker, I mean, the only deck I have more than one I have a lot of Oathbreaker decks that have more than one Planeswalker. But like in any of yours, you have Kiora and you have Nyssa.
Yeah.
But how often are you actually getting Kiora out before I can pay 2 and make you sacrifice Nyssa?
I mean, I guess.
So I think
sorcery speed. So you can only play this on your turn.
That's true.
Which makes this card a lot worse. Instant speed removal is always a lot better.
That's true. You make a good point. Yeah. You got me. You won me over. You changed my mind. But then we had one that we wanted to talk about that...
It's kind of the opposite of the other
everything that we were saying.
So here, do you want to go over this one?
Yeah, this one is Dee Spark. So it is a white-black for an instant. This is different. This is different than Angerths.
This is what we want.
Whatever.
It's cheap, efficient, instant speed.
Yeah, exile target permanent with converted mana cost 4 or greater.
And it's target permanent. So, I mean, it can't destroy lands. It can't destroy lands because it's 4 or greater. But it destroys things like Paradox Engine, expensive Oathbreakers, expensive commanders. I think a lot of people will look past this card because it has that restriction of it has to be converted mana cost 4 or greater. But I feel like if you look at a lot of the cards that you want to get rid of in a commander game,
the sweet spot,
they're 4 or greater. Like you don't want to get rid of a mana dork.
No,
you don't want to get rid of the 3-drop that drew them a card once when it entered the battlefield.
You got to think.
You want to get rid of Brago.
Yeah.
You want to get rid of Nicol Bolas. You want to get rid of the big thing. Like it's gonna hit most of what you need to get rid of. It's only 2 mana and it's instant speed.
And it's
really good.
And it's in the colors that you want it to be in. It's in Orzhov, so you're getting a lot of kill spells. Yeah, I mean Orzhov too for 2.
And it exiles, right? Like this is a very Orzhov thing. Like this is like Anguish Unmaking, Utter End.
Yeah.
I think the trifecta would be Dee Spark, Utter End, and Anguish Unmaking. That's the trifecta of Orzhov removal. That should be in
2 of them have almost the same art too. Wait, is it? No, I was thinking of the Nahiri and so I thought that was in there too. I'm thinking of a different one. But no, yeah, I mean Orzhov, especially like you said, 2 instant. That's good.
That's good.
That's value.
2 mana, instant speed, destroy a permanent. Like good.
Exile
permanent. Good.
Even better.
Like I do think, I don't know why they didn't just put non-land permanent. Because you're not going to be exiling any lands. Unless it's like that Slumbering Isle legendary creature. That's the only land this can hit. So I don't know why it didn't just say non-land.
Yeah, I don't want someone having a 12/12 Kraken.
Yeah, but that's the only thing. That's the only land it hits.
But my Karn's Bastion.
It can't hit it. No, it has converted mana cost of 0.
Oh, that's true.
So I don't know why. Like all lands have converted mana cost 0.
That's true.
So that is one thing that I have a problem with. But that's more just kind of, I don't know. The wording on the card is just, why didn't it just say non-land permanent? But it doesn't matter.
You're thinking too much. That makes too much sense.
I'm looking for something wrong with this card. There's not. There's just not. But no, I think this card is very good.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people are going to look past it because it has that restriction, but I don't think you should. Play this card. It's a good card.
It's a good card.
Just play it. Go buy it right now. Buy like 4. It's good.
But that was our list of cards that we
Yeah.
thought were decent, that were good, and War of the Spark.
This has been a lot. This has been a really fun set. We had
Oh,
we
yeah.
had a lot of fun at the pre-release. We got a bunch of cards and are pre-ordering a lot of cards to come in to put into our Oathbreaker and Commander decks. I've already built a deck around. We both built a deck around the Nicol Bolas God or Dragon God.
Dragon God.
But they're very different. We have 2 different takes on
Yeah.
it. Mine's very on flavor themed Nicol Bolas cards, steal all everyone's stuff.
Yeah,
and
mine
copy
is.
it, and then yours is like
mine's
a Nekusar.
Nekusar. I just love Nekusar, and I was like, Nicol Bolas is cheap and is in his colors.
But yeah, we're really excited for the set. I love the spoiler season and reading through
that was
all
so
the
exciting.
like just
The
seeing the
lore.
flavor text, all the
Get the book.
story, the lore.
Get the book, War of the Spark book. Not a sponsor. Get it. Amazing, beautiful. It tells you all of the backstories. Not all the backstories. The relationship between all the characters, and that's just really fun.
Have you seen Tolarian Community College's review on it?
I don't care. No, I have
I'm
not.
not getting it because of that review.
Yeah, because I have it. You want to read it. You're not gonna buy it. No, but a good book. This set was amazing. I had fun opening each pack, finding a Planeswalker in every one, and getting giddy about it.
Yeah, and there's a decent amount of cards that are decent in Commander, or good in Commander. It's gonna open up the door for a lot more people trying Oathbreaker as well.
Yes.
We're gonna have a video coming soon talking about ways to get into Oathbreaker as well as ways to get other people into Oathbreaker. This set is giving you budget options to do so if you do need the budget. But yeah, so I mean, we just had a lot of fun in this set. So make sure you go out, draft a little of it, get some cards, go buy some packs, look through the card lists, get not only the cards we talked about here today, but also see what else you could fit into your Commander and Oathbreaker decks to put in there as well.
All the commanders, all these Oathbreakers, all these Planeswalkers, super cheap. Get them now while you can. I would maybe wait for pre-order season to be done with, because then they're going to actually start dropping in price because people are starting to notice.
Some of them
Some
are going to go up in price.
I know the ones that I already picked up. So Vivian, Nyssa, Ajani. I bought them at full price at like $15 bucks. Ajani's already dropped down to $5. Nyssa is I think around the $3 to $5. Some of the other ones, but get the expensive ones while you can if you want them, because standard, they're gonna all see standard, so get them while you can.
Ugin, I don't know if Ugin will be good in standard just because I don't know how many colorless
His plus
things.
one ability. His plus one ability is the one that everyone's looking at.
Makes a creature when it dies, you draw a card, basically.
Basically.
So yeah, that one's good. So yeah, I'm gonna get Ugin, to Ferry, just because Teferis always go up in price, so I want to get that.
You should give me one.
Okay.
I forgot to get it. Yeah, that was our list though. And we're really excited to talk more about it. This definitely, I think, like you said, gets a lot more people into Oathbreaker. Definitely check out all of our social media. Yep. We're very active on social media. We have our personal ones. I think we're going to start linking to those.
Yeah. So for the podcast, look up Tapped Into Magic on either Twitter or Instagram, and you'll find it there. One's MTG Tapped, and the other one's Tapped MTG.
It'll be down there.
Yeah, it'll be down in the description below. What's your Twitter and Instagram? I need to look
Twitter
mine up. I don't know mine.
is, I think, just type in Logan Ritz. You'll find.
But you'll find a lot of them. Don't we have like multiple?
We have
multiple.
I do. Look for the ones of my Scholars and Skeletons face.
Yeah, mine
you'll
too.
See that one.
My Twitter is at Ritz Austin or Ritz_Austin. It'll have a picture of my character from our D&D game Helm. Which, by the way, you should also check out Scholars and Skeletons on YouTube and all the podcasting
iTunes, all
sites.
there. We're a little bit farther along in that podcasting range. We don't have all of these podcasts up everywhere yet. We're still working on that. Spotify is a little harder to get on when it comes to podcasts. But we over there on Scholars and Skeletons, because it's still us, are on everything. You can find us on everything. So, and the content there is just as good as here.
So go check that out. Show Scholars and Skeletons some love, and then also make sure you you click down below, hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell, leave us a few comments, show us some love. We want to hear maybe what your guys' favorite cards in War of the Spark.
What'd you open up?
What did you open up? What are you pre-ordering? What kind of Oathbreaker decks are you building because of this set?
Yeah, Commander decks, cards you want to get in those. But that's our take on it. So I think that's it from us.
Continue tapping into the magic, and we'll see you next time.
See you guys.